Hi, welcome to the Move with SAE Mobilus webinar series. This series is held every third Wednesday at 11 a.m. Eastern Time, and our goal with this series is to connect our engineering professionals with the SAE engineering content development teams. Our slide deck today, just so you're aware, with the exception of our guest speakers, will be made available towards the end of our webinar presentation for download. We encourage you to download this presentation to take advantage of the links provided, navigating directly to the SAE content being covered today. I'm going to go ahead and advance to the slides so that we can review our agenda. Now, as always, we have some of our return presenters, which are our product managers. For standards and edge research reports, Bethel and Deibler will be joining us. For journals and technical papers, we have Aaron Rennell, our product manager, and Kelly McCann, our sales manager for professional development and events. And for our June 2020 webinar, we have our guest speaker presentation, which will be Derek Logan, who's our senior engineer from Nissan, and Mark-Tami Hotta, who's the president of Integrity First Consulting. Now, before we get started into our guest speakers and our content updates, I did want to touch on a couple other updates in regards to the customer success program, but also for SAE Mobilus. So if you weren't able to join us last month, you'll notice that we're on a new webinar platform. So I just wanted to bring to your attention, thank you for joining, but also be aware that there is a live chat on the right-hand side. So as some of our presenters are going through their content updates, I'll be checking the chat window, especially with our guest speakers. So if you have any questions for any of our product managers or our guest speakers today, I encourage you to put it in the chat window. We'll also be taking some polls today. So those will just be really brief questions just so we can better understand how you're utilizing the content on the platform. There will also be some resource downloads available, action buttons, which will help you navigate directly to some of the content that we're referring to. And at the very end of the webinar, when we close out and end the session, there'll be an actual survey that you can be navigated to and take. So we encourage you to do that. Additionally, if you haven't signed up already, I wanted to make you aware of the newsletter sign up. So this webinar runs in tandem with our monthly newsletter, which shows you all recent publications on the SAE Mobilus platform. I'm going to go ahead and share that out now. And if you haven't signed up for the newsletter, obviously you've signed up for the webinar. That's received on the first business week of each month. And you can also sign up in the help section of the SAE Mobilus platform. Now, if you also haven't received the June PDF for the newsletter, I'm going to share that out as well. And this will allow you just to easily look at the June 2020 PDF if that's available. It's also available in the help section on the SAE Mobilus platform. Now, I also want to move forward and do some updates just on the SAE Mobilus resources that are available to you. And one of those is just bringing attention to some of the features. So of course, as we're navigating out to some of the content today, we're going to be looking at some SAE standards along with some journal and technical paper publications. There are additional resources available on the homepage, such as browsing by topic and by browsing by event. So if you browse by topic, these hyperlinks can be available if you're researching a specific topic type relevant to your project scope. And selecting these links by topic, you'll be directed to all SAE publications on the SAE Mobilus platform relevant to that topic type. And if you're browsing by event, by clicking on these hyperlinks, you'll be able to quickly view all new publications related to that SAE event. This specifically relates to our SAE technical papers, which generally come from more than 30 global SAE events held annually. Oh, apologies, it actually skipped through the slide for you. I also wanted to touch on the SAE committees. Since our June guest speakers have dedicated their work to the SAE Driving Committee, which is one of several SAE standards development committees, I wanted to also touch on the SAE committee development teams and the standards being developed, which can be found at the SAE Standards Works page. Today's SAE Standards publication includes more than 10,000 documents created through general consensus standards development by more than 240 SAE technical committees, with more than 450 subcommittees and task groups. These works are authorized, revised, and maintained by the volunteer efforts of more than 9,000 of your engineering peers and other qualified professionals from around the world. It's important to note why you may want to follow a works in progress, for example, under a specific SAE committee relevant to your projects and or industry scope, and also why you might want to get involved as a volunteer as an SAE committee member. Following a works in progress allows for you to stay informed on potential changes to a standard relevant to your projects and stay ahead of innovation leads. It's to help you see what's coming down the pipeline so you can adjust your scope. And you might want to get involved in a committee, as committee meetings are open to all interested parties, but only committee members vote on draft documents. Individuals participate on committees as technical experts and not as representatives of their organizations. Your industry peers are involved in the deciding factors of these standards and designs that we're reviewing today, so you might want to consider becoming a committee member as well, just to help participate in those developments. Now we'll move forward to our SAE content updates, and as always, we like to begin with our SAE product manager for standards and edge research reports, Beth Ellen Deibler. Beth Ellen, I'll go ahead and disable my camera and mute my mic if you'd like to enable yours, and just let me know when you're prepared for me to advance on your slide.
So thanks for joining us. My name is Beth Ellen Deibler. So as Angie had mentioned, I'm the product manager for our standards as well as our edge research reports. And we're just going to highlight our 2 new edge research reports for that were published in the month of May. So our edge product line focuses on unsettled topics within the aerospace and automotive industries, and they create a framework for solutions within these different topics and technologies around that area as well. So last month we published two new topics, or 2 new reports, one on IBHM and the other on aerospace advancements. So in 2020, we're planning on publishing between 24 and 26 of these titles. And within other areas too, around automated and connected, advanced manufacturing, and then a few other emerging topics in these areas. So I'm just going to go and highlight the 2 from last month. So the first one is, sorry, Angie, if you can just keep moving along, thanks. The first one is Unsettled Issues Concerning Integrated Vehicle Health Management Systems and Maintenance Credits. So this is published by our editor, Raji Rajamani, and he is a very active member within our standards committees of around vehicle health management and prognostics health management too. So this publication outlines how new PHM systems can gain the required approval to be included in standard maintenance procedures and practices. So it reviews the progress that the structural health management community has made and continues to make to change the way industry regards automated systems. So that's one of the new topics, that the new publications from the month. And then the other one, Angie, if you can move along, thanks, is Unsettled Topics in the Application of Satellite Navigation and Air Traffic Management. This is by Dr. James Farrell. And this publication focuses on using industry attention on unsettled air traffic management issues and activities that appear most likely to offer solutions. So this is another one too in terms of a new aerospace advancements in aerospace advancements for our edge reports. So like I said, our edge research reports, it's a new product line that focuses on unsettled topics and technologies and provides a framework for solutions around there. Okay, Angie. Thanks. And then just going to highlight the amount of standards that SAE has published last month as well. So as you can see here, we published 21 ground vehicle standards in the area of vehicle-to-vehicle test procedures, suites, failure modes, AMS standards, our aerospace material standards, and then also quite a few aerospace standards as well with recommended practices and information reports. And then I'm just going to highlight one specific standard that was published in ground vehicle. So this is our taxonomy and definitions for terms related to cooperative driving automation for on-road motor vehicles. So SAE is leading the way in terms of automation, cooperative driving. And so this is a standard that was created to describe machine-to-machine communications to better support that communication aspect of as well. So that's, I just kind of want to highlight this. This works in tandem with SAE's popular J3300 standard as well. So wanted to highlight that one. And then additionally, 2 new standards that were also published last month were our J3300 2 standards. And our 2 guest presenters today are Logan and Mark-Tami Hotta, who are the chairman and the vice chairman of the SAE J33 Driving Skills Standards Committee. And so they're just gonna kind of discuss on these different standards as well.
As we get started with our presentation, I'd like to first provide a little background. We and a few others from the committee were discussing the difficulty in confirming others' driving skills of those who wanted to test cars on our proving grounds. At the time, Mark-Tami was president and CEO of the Transportation Research Center in Ohio, and I was managing proving ground operations for Nissan in Arizona. Our discussion led us to consider developing a single global standard that would benefit not only proving grounds, but any group who performed testing or had professional drivers, such as commercial fleets. Others in the Proving Ground Safety Committee agreed, and we began our journey to develop the standard.
And a few short years later, in May 2020, last month, the first ever driving skills certification criterion program was released by SAE International as the SAE J3300 driving skills standard to harmonize driving skills standards globally. The goal expanded to provide a standard for use not only by professional drivers on proving grounds and public roads, but also the general public. This standard, the SAE J3300 driving skills standard, is very broad and applies to anyone or any organization that's interested in the safety and driving skills of people driving or operating vehicles. This standard is a key credential for anyone who drives for a living, where competence behind the wheel is valued, such as test drivers, operators of automated prototype vehicles, anyone who evaluates automobiles like journalists, engineers, or automotive executives, or any professional drivers such as taxi drivers, limo drivers, chauffeurs, and delivery truck drivers. The standard is applicable also to organizations that have people performing driving tests that's interested in reducing the risk of driving error, such as operators of proving grounds or fleets of vehicles on public roads. This standard also provides an unbiased measure of the level of skill acquired and retained by driver training programs. This standard provides benefits to drivers because it's a skills-based credential from a recognized source. The process of preparing for certification inherently improves one's driving skills and reduces the likelihood of getting into an incident that may result in injury or damage. And having a certification that's universally recognized can save a lot of money versus enrolling in multiple, somewhat repetitive driver training and certification programs. The standard provides benefits to organizations such as proving grounds and companies operating fleets of vehicles by reducing risk and by making the driver hiring process more efficient, and by enabling redeployment of resources, increasing employee morale, improving customer satisfaction, and providing potentially significant cost savings.
Here, 94% is due to driver error. If driving skills can be improved, this number can be reduced. Extreme testing is performed by all in the automotive industry to help make vehicles safer. Testing of prototypes is inherently dangerous. One of the most important ways of mitigating this risk is to ensure drivers and operators have the appropriate skill level for such testing. The degree of training and verification of skill varies by company. Until now, there hasn't been a rigorous or commonly accepted standard. Therefore, this lack of a standard has resulted in a great degree of difference in the practices and processes in use across the industry. Because each company has their own process, drivers who conduct testing with multiple companies need to be trained and certified multiple times to the different requirements, thus driving inefficiency throughout the industry. The lack of a common best practice also creates potential for critical gaps in driving competence and a safety risk.
I think you hadn't realized you're still on mute.
So as Derek mentioned earlier, in 2016, several members of a Proving Ground Committee got together to discuss how they might collaborate to address this matter. Initially, about a dozen zealots took on this challenge. In total, over 60 subject matter experts representing over 40 organizations and companies globally supported the development of this new standard on a volunteer basis over the last 4 years. This passionate group worked with SAE International and its Standard Works Group to develop standards for driving skill certification. This included monthly WebEx meetings, semi-annual face-to-face multi-day workshops, and countless working group meetings. The team invested literally thousands of labor hours in rigorous development and validation of these new standards. The SAE J3300 driving skills standards includes multiple levels of certification based on the type of driving or vehicle operation needed. See on the upper left, DL1, 2, 3, etc., as well as endorsements for specialty applications such as trailer towing in the upper right, and operating in extreme low grip conditions such as snow in the lower left. And a further standard for operating automated vehicles is currently under development. Key factors for this standard include relevance, objectivity, and replicability. All certifications involve objective pass-fail criteria and are administered by SAE certified examiners to ensure the integrity and consistency of the process.
Standard certifications will be administered by Probitas, an affiliate of SAE that has extensive experience in managing standards across the industry. Those seeking certification, such as for a driver or examiner, can sign up via a dedicated webpage on Probitas's website for the J3300 driving skills certification standard. Last year, we conducted a teaser debut at the SAE World Congress while the standard was still under development. Another demo is under consideration for WCX 2021, so make sure to stay tuned for it. In conclusion, we'd like to share a couple of quotes. Our vision is to provide driver skills certification standards that are recognized globally for basic car control skills, as well as specialized skills like trailer towing, so that every company will have an optimized standard to adopt so they can focus on their core competencies.
Mute again.
Of a rigorous objective measure for driving competence can be a game changer to reduce driving incidents and save lives. And a bit on our backgrounds. Derek has been the chairman of our committee and has led our effort since its inception nearly 4 years ago. He is an active member of SAE International and the Arizona section, and has been involved in proving ground operations for both General Motors and Nissan throughout his career, including managing Nissan's Arizona proving ground operations. He has moved back to vehicle testing, but he feels so passionate about this, he continues to volunteer time, including taking personal vacation time to support this initiative.
Thanks, Mark-Tami. And Mark-Tami is also one of the founding members of this effort. He's the vice chairman of our committee and has been elected to be the lead certifier for J3300. He has led the implementation of the driving safety initiatives as the former chief engineer of worldwide proving grounds for Ford Motor Company, as a former president and CEO of Transportation Research Center, and as a former chairman of the International Committee for Proving Ground. He continues his lifelong commitment to improving driving safety as president of Integrity First Consulting. Now, we'd like to be happy to answer any questions.
Guys, it's Beth Ellen here. As a driver, if I'm interested, how do I get started?
Yeah, thanks, Beth Ellen, and thanks for the question. So, as a driver, like any certification, understanding the standard is the first step. So, purchasing the standard. This ends with registering, but before registering to take the actual test, the J3300 can provide the details on what the various levels are, what the skills are that will be tested, and the driver can assess his or her needs or wants for driving skills, as well as their current level. And if necessary, before taking the test code, practice, get some coaching or mentoring, or take some training.
Another question too, as an organization, if I'm interested, how would I get started?
Thanks, Beth Ellen. So as an organization, so whether it's an organization that's looking to implement this for its employees, its drivers, people that use their facility, of course, understanding the standards is the first step. Hopefully that will validate the hypothesis that there's interest in embracing the standard or requiring the standard, and then to develop a phase-in plan. Number 4 is a real key decision, deciding on whether to offer the certification in-house. So an organization that adopts J3300 may say, hey, all our employees or all our users get certified elsewhere. And if that's the case, those individuals as individual drivers can get certified as per the prior answer to the prior question at a site that's certified to offer the examinations. But it may make sense for an organization from a cost efficiency perspective to put in place the capability to do the examinations in-house. And there's the process for SAE to certify examinations to be conducted at that site, the specific individual, the examiner, the site, and the vehicles. So the step would be to identify the individual or individuals to be qualified as examiners. And then 6 and 7 are sort of concurrent. Register with Probitas. Probitas will provide more information on the examiner certification process. There's some preparation required by the organization and the examiner, and then ultimately to have a certifier come out to the site to certify the examiner, the site, and the vehicles to be used.
We have a few questions too here from our group. So for you guys, in general, when looking at standards, what's the process of determining if a standard is a good fit for your organization to adopt? And I think that kind of touched base, you might have touched base on that a little bit previously.
Derek, do you want to field that, or would you like me to cover it?
Mark-Tami, since you're the lead.
Okay. So basically, this is around safety and efficiency, which ultimately translates to reducing risks and cost savings. An organization, many organizations, as Derek mentioned in his slides, have put in place varying forms of certification, testing, and training, some more rigorous than others, and all very different. So there's an incredible efficiency to be able to have a recognized standard cover that, and to be able to redeploy those resources to other critical tasks that the organization may have needs for.
We have a few more questions in the chat too. So what about those that already have licenses from places such as Mid-Ohio, TRC?
Yeah, I'll take that. So this goes back to the discussion around driver. So when a driver says, hey, I think I want to or need to get certified for, let's say, DL3. If a person already has a certification by another organization, or even just has the skill level or believes they have the skill level, whether or not it comes with a certification, they can take the test without having to practice or take training. So having a certification doesn't prevent someone. There is not a test out process because quite frankly, most of the other certifications are changing over time. And so for SAE to essentially say that the skill has been verified, the process is designed so that the individual will take the test. We have deliberately constructed the certification test to be as much as necessary, but as short as possible. So they're quite brief.
Is J3300 certification, is it active in the USA only, or is it applicable to other countries too, for example, like Italy?
Go ahead, Derek.
Yeah, I think that's a great question. We did want this global, so we have developed it in that respect. We also have many members on our team that represent companies from around the world. And we also have, as Mark-Tami, I'll let him, as soon as I'm done here, elaborate a little bit on the certifier process. We have a member who's a certifier who is in Europe to help that side of it. I did want to say that some of the things, like even trailer towing, we set up the standard so that it could be used globally and not just like the US with super big trailers. We set it up also to work with smaller trailers and other types of driving environments. So it definitely is set up for globally, and we're working on getting it shared. Our intent is to get it throughout the entire world in every country possible. And right now, though we do have a representative in Europe, I'll let Mark-Tami explain that.
Yeah, so this is a global standard. We do have global membership, and the process I talked about of how to get certified to conduct examinations. One of our 4 certifiers who certify examiners and sites is based in Spain.
Question 2, are you requiring drivers to qualify at each level, or can someone challenge the highest level?
Great question. Yeah, great question. Short answer is they can directly go to the highest level that they need or want to be certified for without taking the prior levels as a prerequisite. The endorsements require the basic driving levels in most cases as a prerequisite, but you can jump directly to the level you need.
Endorsements, a lot of them are meant for specialized situations. So some of them depend on the regular driving skill, which is the DL level for the basic car control. And then the endorsement then will perform, examination just for that specific item based on what the performance is of the DL level.
Also, are you guys going to be sharing your presentation? Or I know that there's some handouts as well.
Yeah, so if you can, Angela, push out the handout. We have a one-page summary that looks like this, that contains what we believe are sort of the key essence of what was contained in our presentation, as well as the contact information that's shown on this slide. And SAE International is also in the process of publishing a one-pager fact sheet that we can push out as well. It's really literally coming off the press as we speak.
So
Great.
SAE one as well. Yes, thank you. And I think that this is going to be our last question because we do need to keep moving forward, and we can touch base at the end. But the European countries should presumably follow and apply standards in the order of ISO/IEC, then CEN, CENELEC, and then to local STOs. Where does SAE J3300 should be positioned?
That's a really good question. And I think that's a little bit outside of our knowledge base. I know that SAE has done a lot of sharing with ISO. So I'd assume that there might be some discussions with them about it, but not sure exactly where it'll be positioned in that. The one good thing though is that anybody in the European countries can certainly obtain the SAE standard, and we can work with them to make sure that they can get examiners in place and certifications as well in Europe through the SAE standard.
Thank you.
We're going to hop back into our other presentation. Give me one moment. And we're going to move forward. Again, if you still have questions for our guest speakers or any of our product managers, feel free to put that in the chat window. I'll make sure that we address them. But we are going to move forward with Aaron Rennell, our product manager for SAE Journals and Technical Papers, to give us an update on new research publications. Aaron, if you'd like to enable your mic and your video, and let me know when you're ready to move forward to the slides.
Yeah, great. Thank you very much, Angie. Good morning. It's great to be here with all of you today. As Angie mentioned, I will be reviewing what's new with journals and technical papers. So we'll start with the journals, which publish only original content that has undergone a thorough double-blind peer review and which encompass all areas relevant to ground vehicle, commercial vehicle, and aerospace engineering technology. We currently publish 13 titles that cover a range of topics, including connected and automated vehicles, transportation cybersecurity, engines, and safety, among others. A notable update in 2020 is a title change to the SAE International Journal of Alternative Powertrains. which will now be titled the SAE International Journal of Electrified Vehicles. The scope will cover novel modeling tools, control and optimization methods applied to components, systems, and technologies concerning electrified powertrains, either hybrid or full electric, covering ground, aerial, and naval systems. Along with the title change, we are welcoming a new editor of the journal, Dr. Simona Onori from Stanford University. Some of her ongoing research efforts include electrified powertrain modeling, optimization, and lithium-ion batteries. At the end of May, SAE also released the first issue of a new journal, the SAE International Journal of Sustainable Transportation, Energy, Environment, and Policy, which covers ideas on incorporating and enhancing sustainability from environmental, energy, engineering, public policy, social, and economic perspectives over the entire life cycle of all relevant transportation systems. The full published issue is available at the link on the slide, and the second link will take you to the article, Reframing Automotive Fuel Efficiency, which has been made available as open access and can be freely downloaded. The editor of this new journal, Dr. Srikanth Pilla, will be joining us as a guest speaker for the webinar next month. And Angie, if you could move ahead. Thank you. As you may know, the WCX Digital Summit is underway this week, and papers that were submitted for publication in conjunction with WCX are now available. There were more than 1,200 full-text papers published on a wide variety of topics, with a breakdown of the number of papers per main track presented on the slide. These papers cover a variety of hot topics, including powertrain adaptation for connectivity and automation, AI and machine learning, advanced hybrid and electric powertrains, accident reconstruction and occupant safety, and autonomous systems, among many others. I would also like to highlight the top downloaded paper from WCX to date, which is the Review of Vehicle Engine Efficiency and Emissions by Dr. Amaya Joshi. This is an annual review that used to be authored by Tim Johnson, but is now handled by Dr. Joshi, and is always exceptionally popular. This year, the review covers some of the major advances pertaining to reducing tailpipe emissions of greenhouse gases and criteria pollutants. Discussed are both new and upcoming regulations and technologies being developed for improving engines and after-treatment systems. Great. Thank you, Angie. If you can move ahead. Okay, and dimensions badges. SAE is now offering dimensions badges on both journal articles and technical papers in Mobilus. Dimensions badges are icons, such as that on the screen, that are used to show the citation data for each individual article. So if you click on that paper on the slide, the icon will show up in Mobilus, and at a glance, the icon shows how many citations a paper or article has. And if you hover over the icon, you can see a breakdown of the total citations and recent citations, as well as a citation ratio. And then if you click on to the icon, you will be taken to the Dimensions Citations page where you can drill down for further information, such as a list of the works citing the publication and a visualization of the research categories and a publication's relative influence in a specific research category. Users, including authors, are able to share this details page via social media. Readers and authors in particular will now have an easy way of determining how many citations their papers and articles have, which is often a way of determining the importance and reach of a publication. The citations are updated in real time, and it is a very simple way for authors to showcase their own citation metrics. One additional thing to note here is that if this icon is not showing for a paper in Mobilus, it indicates that that paper does not currently have any citations. Thanks, Angie. That's all I've got.
Before we move forward to our next speaker, I did want to touch back on the page itself on the Mobilus platform. So as we're reviewing this journal article, Aaron was mentioning the Dimensions Badges feature. That's where you can find that here. But a couple other convenience features that are available if you're utilizing the platform, maybe you're reading through this journal article, for example, are the View and Annotate feature. So this can be really helpful if you'd like to pull up the document in an HTML format, and perhaps you're kind of scrolling through and you want to select an area or piece of content to highlight, and then put a quick comment in here so you can refer back to it at a later time. When you're doing these annotations and you click the Save feature, it'll save it under a personalized dashboard. The other convenience feature that I wanted to focus on was the Add To function. So as you can see, I'm logged into my personalized dashboard on the SAE Mobilus platform. And you can see that I have a lot of project folders that I'm kind of saving various pieces of content to. This can be a really helpful way in just keeping the content that you're saving organized. So you can either select a pre-existing folder or click to add a new folder here and click Save. And another feature that I wanted to show was the share function. I really like the email function in particular, as you can go ahead and email it to a colleague. I always recommend CCing yourself so you receive a copy of that email. But again, these are just some of the convenience features that are available on the SAE Mobilus platform. And we're going to hop back into, let me go ahead and get back into our presentation here. And we're going to move forward to our next presenter, who's Kelly McKay. She is our sales manager for events and professional development. Go ahead, Kelly.
Thank you, Angie, and good morning, everyone. Thank you for joining us. Today, I'm going to be speaking with you a little bit about our WCX Digital Summit, as Erin mentioned, that is currently underway, as well as what's going on with our fall events upcoming here. So, Angie, if you could go to the next slide. So Erin had mentioned this, but happening now as we speak is our live WCX Digital Summit. We kicked off yesterday morning at 8 a.m. with our live keynotes presentations, and we have live sessions running all the way through 2 p.m. tomorrow. It's not too late to join the conversation, as all live content and on-demand technical sessions will be available for 12 months post-event. By registering to attend, as an attendee, you'll have the ability to network and connect with speakers, sponsors such as our platinum sponsor, Ford, as well as connect and network with other attendees. The link to register is included within the slide, as well as shared within the handouts. It's only $95, so you get all of the access to the World Congress experience for that low rate of only $95. Next slide, please. Due to COVID-19, we won't be gathering in person, unfortunately, for many of our fall events. However, we will be bringing many of our fall events to you in a virtual digital summit, similar to the WCX World Congress experience currently going on. Some of the events that you can look out for in the fall in a virtual capacity are Commercial Vehicle or COMVEC, Innovations in Mobility, Break Colloquium, TMSS, and many more. We'll have more information on next month's webinar on how you can register to attend and participate in the fall events. And finally, not pictured on the screen, but for our professional development group, we recently launched our core collection of professional development opportunities, free now, starting today through the middle of August. If you click into the handouts, you can see the 10 courses that we're offering for free and register to access any of the professional development opportunities. Again, free through the middle of August. That is all I have, Angie. Thank you.
So much, Kelly, and thank you for all of the presenters today. So we've actually reached the end of our webinar. I did just share out the slides for today's presentation. Again, there are embedded links available in there to navigate out to some of the content that could be helpful for you. And certainly take a look at the handout section if you weren't able to download any of the resources that we pushed out during the various presentations. I'm also going to share an action button if you're interested in learning more about some of SAE subscriptions available on the Mobilus platform. Go ahead and click on that. You fill out a form, you'll be able to be contacted by one of our sales representatives. Thank you again to our guest speakers for taking the time today just to review the new standard publication for the J3300 family of standards. And our next presentation, our webinar, so to speak, will be July 15th, apologies, at 11 a.m. Eastern Time next month. We'll have a guest speaker that will be speaking more to one of our journal publications. And again, if you did register for this event, you will receive an email as well with the downloadable version for the recording. So if any of your team members were unable to join us today, certainly feel free to forward that to them. Thank you so much and have a great day.